Welcome to the Murowitz Center Bell co-sponsored program today with Stephanie Garland. She is the Regional Director for the Better Business Bureau in Springfield, I almost said Illinois, I'm sorry, Springfield, Missouri. And she has led the Southwest Missouri office for 4 years now. Prior to accepting this position, she worked in television news as an award-winning journalist. So she is going to present today the new Better Business Bureau studies that reveal what influences us to make purchasing decisions. Please welcome Stephanie Garland today. Thank you.
Absolutely. So it is my pleasure to be here today. If you have anything that you'd like to say, go ahead, turn your camera on, jump right in. Always happy to hear from you guys. You can also go ahead and type in the chat box any questions. So if we could go ahead and pull up the PowerPoint, that would be excellent. Fantastic. Thank you so much. So next slide, please. Next one, please. Originally got started more than 100 years ago because of snake oil. Who here knows what snake oil is?
Stephanie, we lost your... Just so everyone knows, Stephanie is having some internet issues in Springfield today. It seems like we may have
So
lost...
snake oil got,
Okay.
did you lose me? For
I
me.
did lose you. Okay, you're back now. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. So yeah, sorry guys, can't control when somebody has power outage and when there isn't. So we're working off of my hotspot right now. But so Better Business Bureau originally got started more than 100 years ago because of the snake oil. So snake oil is something where if you had your hair wasn't perfect, you had pimples, you had cancer, supposedly it was supposed to cure all the things. And as we know, there isn't anything that does all of those things at once. So next slide, please. So the Better Business Bureau got started again 1912, so a real long time. And our Better Business Bureau got started 5 years later, 1917. We were actually one of the biggest Better Business Bureaus in terms of the amount of service area, the amount of people that we help in the nation as well as internationally. So we're pretty renowned. Our CEO actually serves on the International Association of Better Business Bureaus, and we're very proud of her hard work for us. Next one, please. So again, this is just a quick snippet of our service area for you guys. So you can see that we're consistently pretty big. I lead the regional office in the South in Springfield. Next one, please. So our mission is to be the leader in advancing marketplace trust. What does trust mean to you guys? Arthur, what does trust mean to you? You're on mute. I'd love to hear from you.
Being able to trust the company you do business with, have confidence in their product.
Absolutely. You're correct. Thank you very much, Ed. That's wonderful. Anybody else? What about Linda or Susan? What do you guys think trust is?
Say what you say what you want.
She said for me.
Being able to trust that people are telling you the truth and that
Correct.
you're getting what you're paying for.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Susan. And I think, Arthur, what would you like to say about it?
Yes, it's to be able to rely on what people say. Trust is that they consistently tell you the real truth about things.
For sure. For sure. Excellent examples. Thank you, guys. Next slide, please. Okay, so we help a lot of people. We actually had almost 15 million instances of service last year in the pandemic. So even as most of us are working remotely in different ways, we're getting vaccinated, all the great things, but still, of course, being safe and following the CDC's guidelines, we're still able to help a lot of people, even when we're working in this very different environment. So it's really cool for us to see the great impact we're able to have. Next slide, please. I thought you guys would want to see, just in a typical year or in a crazy year, how many business profiles and what types of business profiles we provided to the consumers. I understand that most of you guys are retired, and I thought that you'd find it interesting to see that these are the top 10 business profiles that people look into. So auto and vehicle service contract companies, general construction, home improvement, roofing, siding, HVAC, auto, lawn and landscaping, collection agencies, auto dealers, plumbers, and tree service. Those are the top 10 that people looked at last year in our area. Next slide, please. Okay, so question for you guys. If you're on camera, I want for you to raise your hand, and if you're not, I want to hear from you in the chat bar. After the pandemic, which business are you most likely to frequent? Online stores or local businesses?
Online.
I'm going to give you a minute to let me know. Okay.
Online.
Online
See,
stores.
Arthur's going to go to online. Online. Okay. What about the rest of you guys? Barbara, Jonathan, what do you guys think you're going to do?
I'm anxious to get back into the local businesses just to get out socially.
Ed, I completely agree with that. That's awesome. So let's go to the next one. And there's no wrong answer. This is just your opinion. So next slide, please. So this is what our research has shown. Our research has shown that there is going to be more people shopping online, but for the most part, local businesses are still king, and people still appreciate their local economy, which is really good for local business owners. So this is a pretty big deal. We weren't sure if more people would just switch solely to online and not in person. Next slide, please. So how likely are you to do a business with a company that is BBB accredited? Are you more likely? Are you
Yes,
less likely? Or are you not sure?
I'd say
More
more.
likely.
More likely.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent news for Better Business Bureau. Let's see what consumers said when we surveyed them. Next slide, please. Thank you. So what you can tell is 85% of consumers are likely to do business with a company that is BBB accredited. So that's pretty fantastic news for Better Business Bureau. If you think about it, this was kind of a risky business question for us to go ahead and ask, just in case it did not turn out to our favor, but we would always share the results with you regardless. But we were very pleased to see it was 85%. You know, that's a B+. So that's pretty good. We're going to work to see if we can get the 6% that isn't sure, you know, to be more sure that and want to do business with Better Business Bureau accredited businesses. What you can tell too is if you look at the majority of the people too, you can tell we're mainly having women who are answering, and we're having 42% of men. So we're having a lot of responses in this area, which is pretty great. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a really big one. Factors influencing consumer buying decisions. We did this before the pandemic when life was more or less normal, so we have a baseline to compare it to. But I want to hear from you guys. What is the number one thing that you think is super important? We have a lot to choose from here.
Quality.
What
It-
professionalism?
Professionalism's number one. Okay. What's
Quality.
number one? Quality. Okay.
Complaint record.
Complaint record. Okay, that's Susan. What about the rest of you guys? So let's go to the next slide and see what people said. So we've actually done this 3 times in different normal years. So we did this in 2004, 2016, and again 2 years ago. And what we found overwhelmingly is like what you said, is quality is number one, generally. However, number 2 is going to be business ethics. So that people go, it goes back to that trust we talked about earlier. So people are supposed to be trustworthy, they're supposed to be honest, they're supposed to be reputable, all those good things. Responsiveness is also super important. However, if people had to choose out of all those things, which are very important, again, the number 1 is quality and number 2 is business ethics. So this is pretty big for better to buy a better quality product from a business they can trust. So that means, for example, if you're getting your kitchen redone, instead of going to IKEA perhaps, or someplace like that and buying something that may be more inexpensive, they may be more interested in actually hiring a contractor that is BV accredited, that is trusted, that will come in and do the work himself right there and create your custom cabinets. So that's what this is telling us. So this is pretty good news for business owners. This is great news for business owners, actually. Next slide, please. So BBB research, attributes that contribute to consumer trust. This is another survey that we did. We have a lot to think about. What do you think is the most important? I'll give you a minute. Okay, guys. So Marcia, I haven't heard from you yet. What do you think is the most important out of all of here?
So many good ones on here. I think having a good reputation is vital and listening to the customer.
Correct, that is right. Those are all really good things. So let's go ahead and see what people's number 1 answer was. Okay, so it was actually taking responsibility to address the issues, and that was tied with keeping its promises. So people found that those 2 things were key. So if somebody says, for example, making up a business, if Stephanie's business is supposed to install brand new windows in your home, and Stephanie says she's going to be there at noon on Friday, she better be there at noon on Friday. She better not show up 3 hours late. She better not show up a day late. She needs to go ahead and be there on time, be making sure she's delivering the quality work that she says she's going to. If Stephanie's business, heaven forbid, installs the new windows and then they don't shut, they're open, she needs to take the responsibility to say, my employees did this. I'm sorry. I'm going to fix this for you right now. Here's how I'm going to do this. So that is the best way that Stephanie's business and any business can go ahead and earn business in this area. So being responsible, being trustworthy, being honest, and living up to its word. Listening to consumers or customers is also super important. So if people say that they want to buy a brand new car and it needs to have an extra seat in the back that you can fold down and put up, or it needs to be able to go a certain miles per hour, it needs to get good gas mileage, then they need to listen to the consumers. If the consumer has a problem with that vehicle and they just bought it and they're, oh my goodness, there's already problems, they just drove it off the lot and it's not working, they need to listen and take care of the problem very promptly. Having a good reputation, so being BBB accredited, being trustworthy, that's all key to it. That all ties in with it. But again, the most important is the responsibility, keeping its promises. If you look down the line, addressing the societal needs in its mission or daily business, that is the least important for people. Just okay, that's nice, but how are you going to help me? How are you going to take care of me? Giving back to the local community, that's the second least important and unimportant. So again, people are saying to us that, hey, this is cool, but the best thing you can do for us is numbers 1 and 2, taking responsibility and keeping its promises. So this was pretty interesting for us because we didn't know there's a lot of different millennials in the workforce. They're buying houses right now. There's next generations coming up, and we weren't sure just with the different societal changes, is being an environmentalist going to be number one? Creating jobs, is that going to be number one? Giving back to the local community, treating employees well, what would be number one? But it's showing us, and the consumer showed us in this research, that being responsible, being honest, being trustworthy, keeping its promises are the most important things. So these all seem like really basic things, but for a small business owner in particular who has a lot going on, a lot to think about, this can go ahead and help the marketing data, can help its online presence, can help them decide what efforts to spend time on, because we all only have 24 hours in a day. I wish sometimes we had more, but we don't. So people have to be very cautious and think and choose to do things well with their time because we only have a limited amount of time. So let's go to the next slide, please. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
Sure, let's go
So
back.
I know that when I try to find somebody to do work for me, or I want to purchase something,
Yeah.
I ask friends, family, who they've used, try to get feedback from people that I trust. And so a lot of people use the BBB for that. How do you vet the complaints so that you know that they're legit?
How do we vet the companies? Or okay.
Or the the complaints and the companies. Like if someone comes to you and says, this happened to me, how do you know it's not a disgruntled employee? Or, I mean, how
They're
do
not
you,
allowed to file a complaint. It's a
I'm
great question. Disgruntled employees, we do not handle employee-employer disputes. That is actually the U.S. Department of Labor, or that is the Missouri Department of Labor, depending on what area. So nothing ever on bbb.org will be a disgruntled employee. They have to be a customer. We have had, in my area, we have a lot of tornadoes because I'm in the Ozark Mountains. And we had some really bad tornadoes last year that came in. And what happened was we had some non-accredited businesses trying to steal business from a real accredited business. That's a roofing company. And if you think about it, it's a $30,000 to $40,000 roof generally. So this can be pretty big business. So this person went ahead and he was filing fake customer reviews, which is different from complaints. But he was filing one-star fake reviews on different accredited businesses who he was bidding against, and he knew that. We were able to tell on the back end that he was not legitimate. Part of what we require is we require for consumers to be honest when they file about the company. We know that this is business owner's reputation at stake, and we do not allow anonymous tips. People will try to go ahead and send us in things anonymously, and we think and we say that this is a business's reputation, this is a business's trust, this is a business's impact. We're not going to let you just slander somebody or say something about somebody without putting your name behind it. So people have to put their name behind it. We were able to track down on our end. We tracked the IP address, and we could see very clearly that it was the fake business that was going ahead and writing inappropriate things that weren't legitimate. We require for customers too, when the business owner says, hey, I didn't do business with that person. Like, for example, about 2 years ago, we released a huge release on a furniture company that installed really nice furniture. Well, it was supposed to. It was supposed to be gun concealment furniture, but they ended up not doing the work. They literally had thousands of complaints in a short order, and we worked very closely with the Missouri Attorney General's office to get legal action done against this business. But in the meantime, we had accredited businesses in my area that that are also in the furniture business that have a very similar name. So I'm going to make up again the name, Stephanie's Business 123 Furniture. Well, to somebody else, it sounds a lot like Stephanie's Business Furniture. So the real accredited business was getting the complaints sometimes that was supposed to be for the other company, that were supposed to be for the other company. So we worked with consumers to say, hey, did you really mean this company? This is the type of business, or did you mean this? Can you provide us with the receipts and we can look at this together? And then we go through and we look at the receipts. So we're very cautious in a business owner's reputation because we know that it's valuable. We also do suggest, so Susan is right, we do suggest for people to go ahead and ask for at least 3 references from different people that you trust and from different people that you know and you know you may do business with. So if you have a successful business venture and you want to work with somebody, then you may ask for them to recommend somebody else. But that is an excellent question. So basically, employer-employee disputes will never happen, and we always vet our customer reviews as well as our complaints very carefully. Anything else? That was a great question.
No, thank
Okay.
you. That was a perfect answer.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. Next slide, please. Okay, so going into customer reviews, I think it's important for you guys to understand a little bit about how our process works. So next slide, please. So our data and our research has found that customer reviews has a really huge influence on what other consumers think. We take the time to vet our reviews, and so we take the time, again, to make sure that people are legit, that they're real. What other platforms have a problem of, and what we have seen, is where people will go ahead and they'll be in another country like India or China or Africa or Germany, and they will be posting reviews, and you can actually track on Google or other places like that. You can track where they're from, and you can see exactly what they're saying about other people. And you can go and look through their 5 stars, their 1 stars, and there are some people in other countries whose profession it is to go and post either nice things or negative things about businesses in our area. So they find it can be very profitable to influence and help a scam business, for example. So that's why it's super important to us that, again, we have everybody stand by their name. They've got to provide their email address so we can verify they're legitimate. And we actually send people an email after we go ahead and then they submit a customer review, making sure that they can verify it. That it's not just, for example, no email at noemail.com, because that's something that a scammer can do, is just create a fake email that's not real. And that so we require for them to click on it, and then we have something in the background that actually vets them, and we have people dedicated to this task. So next. So what we've also found in our research is that 92% of consumers read the reviews to determine the quality of a local business. So people really trust a local business. So how many complaints do you think our Better Business Bureau received last year in this area? If you had to guess.
100,000.
Any guesses? 100,000. Okay, that's a bit high, but good guess, Susan. Anybody else? Okay, Ed's shaking at me. He's like, I don't know. That's fine, no worries. So we received about 25,000 complaints last year. In comparison, the customer reviews, we received around 15,000 customer reviews. Now, some of these can be negative, but usually this is positive. So you can tell the discrepancy between the two. We literally have 10,000 difference in terms of receiving more complaints. So we really would love to hear more positive things. Our team members at BBB, they have a really hard job. Their job is to listen to people complain all the time. And they do a really good job of it. They help people, they work with them, but that can be really hard. What makes our lives a lot easier and what makes a business lives a lot easier is if you go ahead and you leave positive customer reviews. Because people, if you think about it, unless somebody's really pushy or unless somebody did a really outstanding job, we usually in our daily lives, we don't leave positive reviews about things. But if you went to a local business and whether you went online and you bought something and they deliver the product and it was awesome, or if they came out to your house, or if you went in person, you know, doing all the things we're supposed to do with the CDC guidelines, you had an awesome experience, we want for you to let us know about it. It would make our days a lot easier at the Better Business Bureau to hear the positive experience that you've had. And it would also really help the business because so many people just say the negative and they don't celebrate the positive. So this is really important. So these numbers are just to show you that it really matters and it would really help people out if you leave nice things about them when they do a good job. Next slide, please. Okay, so again, I just want to show you guys how important this is. So customer reviews, it creates a huge positive impact we're a business. People are telling us that it's 190 be viewed as caring about its customers if they are honest, if they are responding with compassion and kindness and all the good things. It's 204% more likely to be viewed as offering quality products or services if they have positive customer reviews and they are responding with dignity and kindness, just even saying something like, thank you so much for leaving the review. Thank you for the 5 stars. Something like that is seen as really positive by consumers. 94% more likely to be viewed as a reputable business. So these are all a really big deal. So all really positive things, just to say that for local businesses, going ahead and looking and saying positive things about people is just as important as word of mouth in this generation. Next slide, please. So here's just kind of a sample. This is one of our actually accredited businesses that's on our board in St. Louis. So Rottler Pest and Lawn Solutions. So you can tell that they just took the time to say thank you. And that just really helped them out. And it's just a really positive, great thing that they did. It takes a little bit extra time to go and reply to everybody, but it's a really big deal when you do. Next slide, please. So here's how you can go ahead and write a review. It's super simple. You go to bbb.org, you type a business name in, you click submit a review, and you can tell us about the experience. If it was negative, you can tell us there as well. But again, I would encourage positive reviews because we would really love to hear more positive things. And then when you hit submit a review, go back to your email and click basically, yes, I'm a real person. Like, I really want to say this. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is just how the process works. So the review is always going to be sent to the business via email. The business can either ignore it and then the review is posted. They can respond to it, or in the case of what I was telling you about and the tornado that happened in Ozark, Missouri, where the fake business was going in and writing things about the real business, then the real business said, hey, that's not my customer. Look at my records. These are the people that I helped this day. I don't have this person on there. I don't know what's going on. And then this is somebody that we go ahead and we look at. Next one, please. Okay, so the customer review posting. So it's just super important, again, just for you to look at this and see that we take time to process it. We work on the back end. I think a lot of times we're all in a very big hurry and we're wondering why it's not posted immediately. At Better Business Bureau's site, it's different from other sites. We are going to take the time to verify and make sure that it's trustworthy, make sure that's really your name and your reputation and that you're who you say you are. You're not somebody from overseas just pretending to be Stephanie Garland, for example. So something else for you guys to know, what do you think the average age demographic is on bbb.org? If you had to guess. You can type it in the chat box or you can say it out loud.
My chat box isn't working. I don't know if other people are having trouble too, but I would say 50 plus.
Yeah.
50 plus? Okay. Thank you very much.
I would say 65 plus.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Excellent. I think, Ed, were you trying to
Yeah,
tell me something?
I'd
What do
say
you
about
think?
65 plus also. The older,
65 plus? Okay, very cool. Very cool. So guys, this is gonna surprise you. Our brand new research that we just got in shows us that it's years old. They are the ones who are using bbb.org more than ever.
Stephanie, could you repeat that?
And the reason for it, sure.
Just
So it's
repeat the
actually the
age.
ages of the age of 25 through 35 years old. And that's because people are buying houses, they're buying their first or second car, they're graduating from college or grade school, they're looking for a job and they're trying to see what employer they want to go to. And that's where they're looking at the customer reviews to see, is this really a nice place to work where people are doing business in a good way, where they're happy with other people, where they have happy consumers. So this is pretty great news for Better Business Bureau. It shows our increased relevance in an age where I think that it's easy to just kind of think, oh, something's been around for a really long time. Like, okay. But so it's really cool news for us. We're very excited about that. So next slide, please. Okay, so what makes the reviews different that we do at Better Business Bureau? Well, again, we take the time to really look into a business, to really look into the consumer review, make sure it's legit. We take the time to verify that this isn't a scammer. You'd be surprised by the amount of scammers who try to say bad things about other people. We also, again, we don't allow for anybody to send in anything anonymous. We're not like the news agency where they accept anonymous tips. We require for people to stand behind their reputation and stand behind what they say, because we know that a business is working really, really hard, and we want to make sure that we're being fair to both the business and the consumers. So we think that fairness is really important. There also isn't a time limit for submitting a review on a real business interaction. So if you did business 5 years ago with a business and it was really cool, but you just never had the time and you have time now, you can tell us about it and say, hey, I just hadn't had the time. But but we're also thinking it's really important that we consider and we keep the standard of trust in all of our interactions, including customer reviews. So the next one, please. So this is just kind of funny, right? If you look on the upper right, the Marley and Marley from the Scrooge movie, the Muppets, but we don't allow for any third-party comments. So we don't allow for people just to come in and say, for example, oh, I am the neighbor and I didn't like the way this roof was put on. Well, that's not valid. You're not the customer. You didn't spend the $30,000 to $40,000. Your opinion in this case is not valid. We're not going to allow somebody to come in and say that, again, we don't do employee-employer interactions. So we had a lot of people trying to come to us the last year saying that I got laid off because of COVID. And that's something where, again, we worked with the US as well as the state labor's offices on that. So we also think it's really important that we don't remove any negative reviews upon the business request. So that means that we stand by what we're saying to customers. Next slide, please. So we want for people to know that we do ask for business where they can log into our Better Business Bureau portal for accredited businesses, and they can actually send out a text or they can send out an email, and it'll say very, very clearly what it is. If they need to go ahead and it'll say, this is Better Business Bureau, please let us know what you think about Stephanie's business. So whether you're getting a text or you're getting an email about this, if you get something like that, then you can know it's legitimate and you can respond to it. Next slide, please. So something that consumers can go ahead and like it when people respond. This is not something Better Business Bureau requires. BBB requires for businesses to always respond to a complaint, but we do not require for them to always respond to a customer review. But consumers say they really like to be able to hear that and they like to be able to see that. So a business can set up a Google alert very simply to go ahead and monitor. I think all of us are really busy. We all have a lot going on in our lives, whether in your retirement life, whether you're just going around and doing your business or you're spending time with the grandkids, or you've got appointments to make, and setting up a Google alert can be very easy on certain things to keep track. So next slide, please. Okay, so we went over a lot of different things today. We've got some time for questions. Is there anything that I can help with?
It seems like I don't know if your chat's working. Susan's wasn't working. If you want to try and type into chat so that we can all see, that would be great. Or you can raise your hand, unmute yourself, and ask a question. You covered a lot of information, so it takes us time to absorb all the information that you shared. But I'm not finding any of the questions at this time.
Okay. Well, if Better Business Bureau can ever help in any way, we're here as a resource. I understand you recently had one of our investigators come and speak, and I'm really glad that she was able to do so. So whether it's I can help or whether she can help, her name's Rebecca, or if any of us can help with the Better Business Bureau, please let us know. We're happy to do so.
So is there like a 1-800 number, or is there, if we did
There's a
have,
314 number actually.
okay, okay,
Yeah, there's a 314 number, and I think it's in the last slide. So if you can pull up the slide,
there we go.
and then
Okay.
yeah, I'm not seeing that on my screen, but if you want to type in the chat bar or send that out to people afterwards,
I can,
this is a, thank you very much. It's a 314 number that you can call. Our office is open from Monday through Friday. So we are open, here it is, 314-645-3300. And you can get us from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Our phone lines are open. And then we, of course, we do have some staff working in person at downtown St. Louis at 201 North Broadway. It's a little bit of a climb to get up there, so I recommend using the elevators if you are going to go in person.
and I can send that
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Susan.
phone number
I
out.
have a question for you. This is more of a personal question, but when Judy introduced
Sure.
you, she said you were a journalist.
Mhm.
And I was wondering how you
Correct.
made the switch from journalism over to where you are now.
Oh, great question. So I'm an award-winning journalist, you're correct, and I appreciate the introduction earlier, thank you. But I've actually most recently worked in television in the Springfield market at KY3 KSPR, which is the media giant down here. And I decided after I was in the business about 10 years, and I was very tired of interviewing people that I don't want to be around, such as sex offenders. They would usually send me to interview them because apparently I'm likable, and apparently people will talk to me. So that I would always be able to get the interviews. And so I really do not enjoy that kind of clientele. And I really loved being able to help people and was looking more toward a way where I can go ahead and help in a consistent effort where I can see things that matter and results that really make a difference. And the work we do here does. So that was pretty significant change, but I've greatly enjoyed leading our office. Yes, sir. I see your hand.
Arthur?
Yeah, yes, I've got a question. If you call up the Better Business Bureau and just ask for a rating, instead of going to the website, will they give it to you?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't
just-
have to go to the website. Mhm.
You don't have to go to the website to get it.
No,
You
and
just call
actually
them.
yeah, you can text that number now too, by the way. It's something brand new we started this year. We're really excited about it. We have people who don't have the time to call us and they just business rating for me and see if it's accredited. And then we have somebody whose job it is to go ahead and text back.
Okay, I have another question. If there's a complaint made against
Sure.
the company, and the company doesn't respond to it,
Mhm.
and how do you resolve that? I think you showed it, but I didn't catch it. How do you resolve it if the company?
No, you're fine. I actually
the
did show
company
that, so
doesn't
you're
respond,
good.
or the company denies it? How do you finally arbitrate? Do you have arbitrators there, or that decide who's right and wrong?
So here's the process. Really good questions. I love how you're thinking, Arthur. It's awesome. Hire for all accredited businesses to go ahead and respond to complaints. So if a business is not accredited with Better Business Bureau, then they are not required to respond, but we heavily encourage for people to respond to the complaints. We will post it as unresolved if they do not respond to it. If they are an accredited business and they do not respond to a complaint, they will actually lose their Better Business Bureau accreditation. And then we will send out an alert to the local news media all across the state, letting them know that this business has been kicked out of the Better Business Bureau because of failure to respond to customer complaints, which we take very seriously because this is our name and mission. So if a business, and again, we've got about 10,000 accredited businesses in the state, so that varies out to about 6% of the businesses that are in this area are accredited with us. So the other businesses, though, sometimes we do post things as unresolved. if people don't go ahead and work come down this week, that Real Travel LLC, which is a non-accredited business, that's a timeshare exit company, and they went ahead and they had a lot of complaints. We heard from 38 different customers that they weren't helping them get out of their timeshare. They were just taking the money. Now, I think some of you guys may go to Branson occasionally. Some of the timeshares they were trying to get out of were in the Branson area, which, you know, Branson heavily relies on the tourism there. So here people were trying to get help and they weren't helped. We had some big news that for the past 3 years, we've been working on this, and we released an alert back in 2018. But because we work very closely with the Arkansas Attorney General, as well as the State Attorney General here in Missouri and other federal people, we were actually able to help get a resolution, and a huge judgment just came down. And the Arkansas Attorney General, where these people have been ordered to pay back $2.7 million in restitution. So even though sometimes complaints will get an unresolved from us, we can still work with law enforcement to get the positive resolution. It may not happen every time, but we can still have something get done, even if something's going to be posted as unresolved. It may take a little bit of time, especially to go through the court process, but we generally are able to make a difference, which, back to Susan's question earlier, is why I went ahead and switched careers, because I wanted to see something that was more rewarding, where I could actually say quantifiable, I'm making a difference, and here's how I'm helping my small impact in this world. So good question, Arthur. Is there anything else that I can help
Thank
with?
Thank you so much. I think we've, do we have anything else? Ed, did you have something?
No, I just wanted to thank Stephanie again for her talk. It was very informative. We enjoyed it very much. I'm glad you were able to join us today.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. It's my pleasure. It's nice to meet y'all. Appreciate you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Hope
Bye.
you get your internet working. Bye.
Hope we have the outage that goes stops.
Yeah.